You know that feeling, right? You've been scrolling for like an hour, you finally look up from your phone, and you just feel kind of empty? Like you just ingested a ton of stuff, but learned absolutely nothing? Well, you're definitely not alone. We really need to talk about something called AI slop and the honestly kind of scary possibility that it's actually rewiring our brains. So let's get into it. Let's break down what's really going on inside our heads when we're lost in that scroll. Okay, to kick things off, just let this one number sink in, 50%. Right now, about half of all internet traffic is just non-human bots. Isn't that wild? That's a truly staggering number when you stop and think about it. Half the internet is just machines talking to other machines. And guess what? A huge chunk of what they're churning out is aimed right at you. So what's the real issue here? What's at the heart of this whole problem? Well, it all comes down to this massive mismatch, a conflict that affects every single one of us. See, we're trying to navigate this insane high-speed digital storm with a brain that, and you gotta believe this, hasn't really gotten a major software update in, about 200,000 years.
I mean, just look at this contrast. It's night and day. On one hand, you've got the world our brains were actually built for. We're talking slow, natural rhythms, campfires, watching the stars, real human stories. Our whole reward system was fine-tuned for basic survival. But then, you take that exact same ancient brain, and you just drop it, completely unprepared, into this digital storm, a chaotic world of endless content, algorithms, and this low-effort slop that is designed from the ground up to hijack our old-school wiring.
So how does this actually work? How do they get us? Well, it all comes down to something called the dopamine trap, and it's a really vicious cycle. See, the algorithms feed you content that's just stimulating enough to give your brain a tiny little chemical reward, a little hit of dopamine. That keeps you hooked, keeps you scrolling. But the content is so shallow, so meaningless, that it never actually leaves you feeling satisfied. All right, so let's dig into the biology here. Let's look at exactly how this digital slop manages to hijack that ancient reward system we've been talking about. Really, it's a story of our own survival instincts going completely haywire. Okay, think about it like this. Way back when, our ancestors were wired to hunt for calorie bombs. Super rare, energy-dense foods like honey or ripe fruit. Finding that was crucial for survival. Your brain would basically scream, "Yes, that's the good stuff, get more of it." Well, fast forward to today, and the algorithms have figured out how to create the perfect digital equivalent, dopamine bombs. These short, super stimulating, kind of meaningless videos, they're the new digital honey, and our ancient brain just can't get enough. And that, right there, is the vicious circle of slop. This is the loop we all get stuck in. Step 1, you scroll. The algorithm serves you an endless buffet of content. Step 2, you get a tiny little dopamine hit. Your brain's reward system lights up for a second. But, and this is the key, the content is, well, it's soulless. It has no real meaning, no substance, so you're never actually satisfied. The reward is fleeting, it's unfulfilling. And what does that lead to? You just keep scrolling, searching for that next empty hit. This quote really nails it. Consuming all this slop is exactly like eating digital junk food. It's like you're binging on stuff that's all empty calories. You can feel totally full, completely saturated with content. But when you finally put the phone down, you've gained zero real mental or emotional nutrition. Nothing. And make no mistake, the cost to your brain is very, very real. This isn't just about wasting a few hours. No, constant exposure to this stuff is literally rewiring your neural pathways. It's making calm, reflective thinking harder to do. Instead, it favors quick, impulsive, reactive thinking. I love how the source material puts it. You're literally losing wisdom points. And over time, this can make you a more fragile, a more easily overwhelmed version of yourself. Okay, so the effect on our individual brains is bad enough, but the danger actually goes way beyond that. This stuff is starting to poison our collective library of knowledge. It's threatening the very idea of what's true and what's not on the internet. So here's a phrase you really need to get familiar with. Confidently incorrect. This is what AIs are. They can spit out information that sounds totally plausible, even authoritative, but it's a complete and utter fabrication. And here's the really terrifying part. The AI has no idea it's lying. To it, truth isn't even a concept. Think of an AI as a very complex hammer. That's a great analogy. It can build stuff, sure, but it has zero understanding of what it's building. It doesn't know if it's building a house or a weapon. So it'll just casually invent these little information nuggets out of thin air just to complete its task. maybe to make a sentence sound better, without any concept of or regard for the truth. It will lie right to your face and not even know it. And this creates a really devastating feedback loop. Here's how it works step by step. First, generation. An AI just invents a fact for a video. Poof, out of nowhere. Second, saturation. That video gets thousands, maybe millions of views. It's everywhere. And third, and this is the really bad part, poisoning. The next AI comes along, scrapes the internet, finds that video's transcript, and sees this fact all over the place. So it treats it as a proper source. And just like that, a lie gets laundered into something that looks like the truth. So what's the deeper cost here? The existential cost of just letting our world get filled up with all this meaningless, often fake noise? Well, it's nothing short of a retreat from reality itself. The real danger is that we all just retreat into this snail shell of comfortable numbness. It's so easy to just opt for the hypnotic, low-effort digital noise, instead of doing the sometimes messy, sometimes difficult, but always meaningful work of connecting with other real human beings. And really, this gets to the absolute heart of the matter. Your attention is the only truly valuable resource you have. In an economy where your attention is the product being bought and sold, protecting it, being intentional about where you point it, is maybe the most important act of self-preservation there is. Okay, I know, this all sounds pretty bleak, right? But it's not hopeless. The power isn't entirely in the hands of the algorithms. We can absolutely make conscious choices to fight back, to push back against the tide and, choose to stay human. So the question really becomes a personal one for all of us, doesn't it? So how do you fight back against the slop? What can you actually do to reclaim your attention in your own mind? All right, so here's the game plan. First, prioritize stuff made by actual humans. Content that has a real creative soul to it. Second, practice active relaxation. And no, that's not just being lazy. In a world designed to keep you agitated, it's actually serious self-care. Next, you have to protect your focus like it's a fortress. Be deliberate about what you feed your mind. And finally, and maybe most importantly, value real, actual human connection over all the digital noise. So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought to chew on. A 200,000-year odyssey, an unbroken chain of human struggle, creativity, and survival, led directly to you existing right here, right now. So the question is, are you really going to spend it on slop?